Right, now that we can kind of identify the crest and the trough of a wave, the next main characteristic that we're going to look at is called the wavelength. And the title itself is pretty self-explanatory. We're looking at the length between different points on a wave. So as I began to propagate that wave, there it goes, right? And I give it a pause maybe about here. I can see there is a distance that I could actually measure. So if I want to put the ruler out here, I could bring this in, and I'm going to go from crest to crest. So when you are calculating wavelength, you want to go to 2 points that are the same within that wave itself. So crest to crest is a really easy one. You could go trough to trough. You could go halfway point and halfway point, but either way, you have to make sure that you're at the same point. And so to me, the easiest is just going crest to crest. So if I actually measure crest to crest, about, I don't know, something about right there, about that 0 mark, and I bring it in to, we're about 180 centimeters is my wavelength here. Okay, so what's kind of cool though is that wavelength is constant. So if I would choose to go maybe down to the trough, which I don't have a full trough here, so that's kind of hard. Let's see if I can change that. We'll reset just so we can kind of see that. See if this is what I want. Yeah, this is what I wanted. Okay, so we're gonna get that wave propagating, and I'm gonna pause it. Good, I have crest, crest, and crest, and I have 2 troughs. So let's use this one. So if I wanted to see the wavelength, I could bring in my ruler, and I can measure from crest to crest, and we're about 120 centimeters. Okay, so I could also go down to trough, and there we are, 120 centimeters. I could go halfway, so I could be going like up the roller coaster, so I could start about there, which means I have to make sure I'm going up the roller coaster on the other side. And even there, it's still 120. So the wavelength is the distance between any 2 points of the same part of the cycle of the wave. And we will measure it in what we normally do for distance. So that could be centimeters, meters. We're going to get to electromagnetic spectrum, which measures things in nanometers, which is really, really tiny, tiny, tiny sibling of the meter. But either way, we are still measuring it in the meter family. So you should be able to take a ruler and actually measure the distance in between any of those 2 points, and that is what we call the wavelength.